voices echoing darkness where honesty dwells. Aaron drops knowledge, casting his spells. Feelings are fading, lost in the fray. If you can't handle it, step out of the way. It's a bitter pill, but he's done being nice. Had to say it, no holding back. Words like fire, igniting the track. Listen or leave it, your call tonight. Aaron's the storm, he's ready to fight. It's a bitter pill, but he's done being nice. Had to say it, no holding back. Words like fire, igniting the track. Listen or leave it, your call tonight. Aaron's the storm, he's ready to fight. So brace yourself tight, prepare for the quake. Aaron had to say it, the truth won't break. Yeah, the truth won't break.
I had to say, or else it would just go unsaid. Yeah, I had to say, or else it would just go unsaid. If you didn't get it from me, you'd hear it from some new man instead. I may cuss and yell, but I know what I say is right. You know what, I will fucking yell, but I know what I say is right. So long as the world be fucking shit up, I'ma yell into this mic. Left or right, don't matter, I will call you on your shit. I said left or right, don't fucking matter, I will call you on your shit. If you're the side that fucking up, the gorilla's gonna deal with it. Yeah, I had to say it, or else it would go unsaid. Yeah, I had to fucking say it, or else it would just go unsaid. If you didn't hear it yelled at the top of my lungs, you got fed a crock of shit instead.
The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen close or just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast, airways feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start as we do by saying to Iceman, Jason, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys from the Little Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast, to Kate, the Duchess of New Jersey, to Boomer Bob, to George Fonso of the World of Boys Podcast, to Josh Roberts of New Jersey, and to, Bill of Clockham Craft Coffee, and last but not least, to Lisa, our newest Patreon member. Thank you for the constant support, you guys. It means the world to me. So, yeah, there we go. That's the first thing. Now, we're going to start this one off with shameless self-plug. I launched the Kickstarter today for the Spice Blend line. We're doing this. We're committed. Pulled the trigger. Got the tax ID numbers. Got all the paperwork, all the back-end stuff straightened out. Made an arrangement with the guy so I can use his kitchen to produce my product. We were going to be bringing it to a market and to you soon. There will be 30 days to do the fundraising, and after the 30 days of the fundraising, the product launch is slated for August. I'm sorry, I almost said October, for mid-August, because that gives me 6 months to get all the logistics and everything else taken care of. And as such, that is the timeline. If it goes sooner, great, but I wanted to give myself enough of a window to make sure all the production stuff did not hit any fucking snags and everybody got what they had coming to them for helping me get this project off the ground. The link to the Kickstarter will be in the show notes. I am kind of trying to divorce the podcast from the business for multiple reasons, not the least of which being they are two separate things. This is my therapy. That's going to be hopefully a source of income and potentially my job for me. So I don't want them to overlap and have one take the joy out of the other for me. So anyway, yeah, so it's not like you guys didn't know this was coming. I've been talking about it for quite a bit, so that is one thing there. Now, I don't actually have a lot prepared for today. We've been, kind of like I said last week, we have some family stuff. It is ongoing. It's still impacting our day-to-day lives. On top of which, the wife and I both kind of picked up a bug over the weekend. I don't know exactly what happened, but we're both a little under the weather, so focusing on putting together an Angry Ranty for tonight was not at the forefront of my list. I actually spent most of today trying to deal with logistics, answering a lot of questions from people, trying to make sure the launch of this Kickstarter went smoothly, and that was not to mention, got taxes to do and shit. But that's an Aaron problem. That's not a you guys problem. The only thing I really actually have anything kind of locked and loaded on is over the course since the last episode, we're still dealing with all this noise from the Epstein files. I'm not going to refer to it as the Epstein list anymore because let's be honest, there was never a solid, cohesive, they didn't have Jeffy's little black book. This was not a case of his, blood signed paperwork documenting who was fucking kids on his island. It's a case of, emails and letters and information and correspondences and a whole bunch of shit. And, there's millions and millions of emails and files and things to be assessed. And the initial release was a massive disappointment in a lot of ways because first they fucked up and first they didn't redact the proper identities. They redacted the identities of the fucking people committing the crimes, not the people that were the victims of the crimes. And I take issue with that. I mean, to say my opinion of the Department of Justice is low would be an understatement. I thought Pam Bondi was a horrible fucking appointment from before she got the nod. She has done literally nothing to change my opinion of her in her entire fucking hitch as the fucking Attorney General. She has been the exact disappointment I expected her to be, and frankly, I don't know why everybody's so surprised. She was a fucking idiot to begin with. She was a bad pick. She has mishandled or fucked up every single thing she's done. And as usual, there has been no perp walks, no fucking actual things of consequence happening here. Leaders in other countries are all of a sudden scampering, scurrying, resigning, stepping down, handing in their commissions, resigning their fucking royal titles over these files being released. But in America, yeah, nothing's happened to date. So that worthless blonde cunt is exactly that, a worthless blonde cunt. And that's one of those things. People will be like, oh, well, you know, the MAGA people will start screaming and yammering, trust the plan and look at all the other things that have been done. And when questioned by Congress, Bondi's answer to that was, but the Dow's over 5 or 50,000. Who gives a nickel plate of fuck? When the question is, why haven't you done anything about the fucking people abusing kids on Epstein's Island? The look at the stock market is not the appropriate answer. Now, there's all kinds of other shitty details with it. Now, after a lot of pushing and hemming and hemming and hawing and pushing from various sources and political pressure and threats of lawsuits under the fact that they didn't actually properly disclose the information in the Epstein files, they dumped like 3.5 million files unredacted out into the fucking water. They muddied the water in a very, very fucking, I don't know if it's incompetence or deliberate, because yeah, we had a lot of people screaming for transparency and screaming unredact the names of the fucking guilty. And a lot of people were, well, Trump's defending people, Trump's involved, Trump's implicated. Honestly, I've had this argument with multiple people, and my thoughts on the matter haven't changed a fucking iota. Again, I don't worship at the altar of Orange Jesus, so I'm more than comfortable to say I don't think he was necessary. I don't think he really gives a shit about protecting certain individuals, whether it be because they're close to him or anything else. I think he is concerned about protecting the financial status of the globe at this point. And I'm not saying it's right. I don't think it justifies it. I say fuck it. If the system can be burned down by exposure, then it deserves to be fucking destroyed. But I think the people who, like I said, I have no problem with people being pissed off at the fucking Cheeto. I don't have any problems with people wanting to question his authority or his statements or his beliefs or anything else. I have a problem with people who hate him based on disingenuous information or fucking emotional fucking issues they may have that don't actually have any grounding in reality. I keep saying it, there are plenty of valid fucking reasons to be unhappy with this administration. You don't need to make shit up. You don't need to spin bullshit that really pokes holes in any kind of fucking stance you may hold, because when it's easily disprovable bullshit and that's your fucking drum you're beating as to why you're pissed off, any valid comments, concerns, or complaints you bring to the table are automatically dismissed because of your shit stance to begin with. So you can't just be one of those people that's been hating on him for every fucking media narrative that's been put out and all of a sudden be expected to be taken seriously when something comes out that's actually worthy of fucking contempt or disdain. That's a failing in how you presented your arguments, your stance, and your beliefs, because you've shown yourself to be a waffling twat that just blows with whatever the current narrative is, instead of somebody who actually has some sort of critically analyzed thought pattern behind their reason for discontent. That's why I take people a lot more seriously who don't automatically, everything he does is bad, everything he's doing is wrong, because he's done some things I do agree with. He's done a lot of shit I don't agree with. That's the difference between me and your average motherfucker, is I'm willing to acknowledge his shortcomings and his failings, and I'm not alone in this. There are tons of people in this world who can say, yeah, he's doing some things that need to be done, but he's fucking up X, Y, Z, Q, L, M, N, O, P, and everything else. The fucking right-wing retards that want to say he can do no wrong, everything is him playing 5D chess, and he can make it, and everything he does is justifiable and right because it's him doing it. They're just as bad as the fucking whack jobs on the left that are saying that everything he does is evil and terrible and horrible, and he's a fascist dictator, and he's, like my governor, that fucking worthless sack of guts who wants to keep beating the drum that Trump and all of his supporters are Nazis and they're the new Gestapo and ICE is basically his secret army. Because it's intellectually dishonest. Not only does it do a disservice to people who actually suffered under Nazi regimes, people who have actually suffered under totalitarian leadership, people who have actually had to escape genuine dictators and fucking fascist regimes, you're doing a disservice to everything those people had to endure by trying to paint somebody you don't like as being the same as what they went through. But of course, that probably primarily comes from a bunch of entitled first world assholes who don't have any real strife in their lives. So they have to invent bullshit to try and make themselves seem more significant or relevant than they actually are. Because somewhere deep down, a lot of these motherfuckers know at their core they are hollow and worthless and meaningless because they don't actually create or contribute or drive any sort of meaningful change. So they have to latch onto this superficial surface bullshit because it's all they can identify with, because they didn't ever learn how to properly think, and they never learned how to self-actuate, and they never learned to have a core fundamental being and personality and values. And it's pathetic. They're failed human beings, and it drives me nuts, to be honest. And that's why I take umbrage with so many people that are, oh, well, he's this racist, fascist, Nazi dictator. No, the fuck he's not. If he was nearly as bad as people want to paint him as, and I said this last week too, I'm coming back to it, a huge portion of these performative protest motherfuckers who every time they get confronted by actual authority figures crack and fold and then start crying and bitching about how they're the victim and want to start screaming fascist Nazi when they're just being people trying to treat them like, hey, you're an adult, fucking act like it. You see how quickly they fold, how easily they fucking cave. These are not people that would be able to survive under an actual fascist totalitarian dictatorship regime. They wouldn't make it. They're not actual fighters. They're fucking playing at fighters. They're pretending. They're cosplaying fucking revolutionaries when at the end of the day, they're really just non-contributing, meaningless, vapid twats. Or a lot of fucking, because if you look at a lot of these anti-ICE, anti-Trump protests, there's a lot of geriatrics. So it's a bunch of fucking failed hippies who missed the first bust. They were too young to protest Vietnam, and now they're too goddamn old to be of any use to society anymore. So instead they go out there and they bring a guitar or a set of fucking bongos, and they set up shop in front of wherever they think ICE may happen to be hanging out at the moment, and they sing their stupid little protest songs, and they chant, and they can block traffic, and they fucking inconvenience people who actually have something going on in their lives that have somewhere better to be than listening to these fucking failed hippies try and be relevant for one last hurrah before they fucking shuffle off the mortal coil. Worthless geriatric sacks of fuck that got nothing better to do than go out and bitch and whine about shit that's not going to impact them in any way, shape, or form. But they just need to feel fucking relevant for one last little beat because they saw their older siblings manage to fucking actually have something to stand up for and believe in, and they never got the chance because Vietnam was over before they were done shitting in their fucking drawers. And all of a sudden now they're back out on the street and they're shitting in their drawers again, but it's because they're incontent, not because they're fucking children anymore. It's fucking pathetic. They just make me fucking sick because it's disingenuous and it's stupid. It's grasping at something that's not there. It's creating problems that don't exist so you can try and feel relevant, or you can try and feel like you're doing something with what was probably a vapid, meaningless existence up to this point. People that bought all the fucking lies, lived the fucking life. They were fucking corporate raiders in the fucking 80s. They peaked in the fucking early 90s, and now they're just irrelevant and fading, and they can't fucking stand it because they look at their lives and realize they had no real fucking impact on the world other than producing a bunch of worthless, entitled, spoiled cunt kids that are raising grandkids that are probably fucking harder than their parents, because for some odd reason the Generation Alpha seems to be snapping back real hard, kind of like that pendulum thing I always talk about, where shit got way too out of whack, and all of a sudden being more conservative is back into trending with the younger people again. And I loathe the day where that pendulum swings too fucking far, and all of a sudden we're faced with a bunch of fucking retarded, full-blown, like ultra-conservative, everything has to be according to my religion, because that's how it always goes. The moderate and the middle people are never, the ones that have the reins, and it's a fucking shame. And it's just a case of these fucking mouth breathers drive me insane with their performative, irrelevant bullshit that just inconveniences those of us that have someplace to be or something to fucking do. And it somehow makes them feel self-righteous, like they're fucking worth something when they're really not. Wow, that was a lot of venting for somebody who said he didn't have anything relevant to say. But anyway, back to the Epstein file thing. So all of a sudden DOJ decides they're going to release the unredacted version of these like 3.5 million files. Now, granted, there's like 7 million files in this file, so there's still about half of them haven't been released. Again, no consequences to date, no perp walks, no nothing bad. Funny little note, a couple of social media accounts I follow, one of the guys pointed out that there's a whole bunch of files that they're listed as PDFs, but when you open the file, it doesn't it says no file there. But if you take the PDF extension off of it and type MP4, all of a sudden it starts playing video footage, and there's a whole bunch of these fucking files that are like the jail cameras from Epstein's cell. So they've now started a project parsing through all that information to try and see if there's something in there, or even if they see old Jeffy Boy walking out before they bring in some other corpse to fill the fucking hole, that's where you're straying to tinfoil hat territory. But a lot of people are saying Jeffrey Epstein's alive and playing Fortnite in fucking Tel Aviv right now. So is it beyond the realm of possibility? No, I don't think it is. I've said it since they said he was dead the first time. Like, yeah, you know what? Because people that have multiple billions of dollars generally don't face consequences, and they really generally don't fucking kill themselves. Now, I was more of the belief that somebody got to him and might have hung him and suicided him in his cell. But the idea that they just, threw a few $100,000 to a couple of guards that, are making fucking $65,000 a year and they're in debt up to their tits. They got a wife that only wants to put out once a month, and they all of a sudden somebody comes to them and says, "Hey, I'll give you a bunch of blowjobs and $100,000 if you just look the other way and accidentally unplug the cameras." Yeah, is the realm of that corruption possible? Of course it is. Anybody that wants to tell you different is fucking lying to you. But anyway, yeah. So back onto the point. So they do this massive glut dump of like 3.5 million unredacted emails and files from the Epstein files. And there's a massive problem with this too. And it's not I feel like it was poorly executed and people who are trying to celebrate it are fucking retarded for a very simple reason. It's one of those cases of obscuring what needs to be found by just overwhelming the area. It's the fish that stirs up all the mud at the bottom of the river, and all of a sudden you can't see where it is anymore. Because there are 3.5 million files. People are trying to use AI to search through it and parse and look for specific names, which is always a fucking dangerous game because they're doing things with intent of finding names without finding any fucking context, which is a huge problem for anyone with a capability of thinking past their own fucking feet. Because without context, those names don't necessarily mean shit. There are newspaper articles referenced in some of these emails. The simple fact of the matter is, certain people traveled in similar circles or were discussed by Jeffrey Epstein with other people. There were messages of Jeffrey Epstein trying to recruit people and them being disinterested, but the name still comes up in the file because if you search for that name, it comes up in a correspondence from Jeffrey Epstein reaching out to him and then getting told to go fuck himself. Prime example of this is Joe Rogan's name is in those Epstein files. You know why? Because Epstein was trying to get Rogan to come to the island and Rogan told him to get fucked. That's the entire story. There's no fucking story there. But now people are sitting there, oh, well, Joe Rogan was on the Epstein list. No, he wasn't on the fucking list. He never went to the island. He got emailed by Epstein and told Epstein to get fucking wrecked. It's not some super, oh my God, gotcha moment. It's nonsense. It's clouding the fucking facts. It's distracting from actual things. So that's why I'm not happy with the way this was handled. Did they need to dump all the files out unredacted? No. But on the other hand, you're also going to have people saying they will never be satisfied because there's no way that's all the information because the person, and it doesn't even have to be the Cheeto or fucking Bill and Hillary or fucking Obama or whoever it is you got a particular heart on for. And I'm not saying these people aren't in the list because all of those names come up in the files. Trump, Hillary, Bill, Obama, Michelle, all of them are in those fucking files. Now, context matters because they're in there multiple times for multiple fucking reasons, whether it's actual discourse between said individuals, talking about said individuals to someone else in those emails, referencing certain people, contacting through mutual contacts. There's all sorts of reasons why these people wind up in those files. And again, we're muddying the fucking water without actually putting out information that's conclusive. And the problem with putting out the information that's conclusive is there's always going to be somebody going, well, that's not you're releasing biased information. You didn't give us all of it, so you're not telling us the truth. You're trying to hide something. And no matter what they put out, there's always going to be people who say people are being protected, things are being hidden. And it's a commentary on the state of the world today where people are saying that, and it's really not a bad point. I kind of agree with it. We're never going to know the truth about everything. We're probably not going to see any justice for these fucking poor girls that were fucking raped on the island. I honestly believe people were being killed on that island. I believe there were blood sacrifices. I believe that certain individuals were probably out there hunting young women for sport because there's way too many consistencies. There's way too many people saying similar things. And frankly,
these people who are being accused, in a lot of ways, their depravity would not shock me at all. They're horrific human beings, and they're fucking destructive pieces of shit as far as the rest of the world is concerned. But they feel that they're elite and they're somehow, ordained or given, or the fact that they sacrificed their babies to Baal or fucking whatever. However they get their fucking jollies off, whether it's, fucking chasing greased up midgets around a fucking beach or fucking sacrificing babies or hunting teenage girls, all of which are accusations about things that happened on that fucking island. For anybody that thinks I'm just being fucking excessive for the sake of, shock value or whatever. No, these are all claims by the survivors of the Epstein Island incident, that all of these things happened on that fucking island. So it's going to be a case of, now that we've got this massive dump, we've got names coming up that had fuck all to do with it. Like I said, I heard my fuck muppet governor's name is in that list too. Does it mean he was on the island? I don't know. I haven't bothered to look. I don't really care to go digging through the shit. I'm too tired. I'm too run down. I'm too fucking exhausted emotionally, physically, mentally. I'm not in a place where I'm going to go parsing through millions of lines of fucking files to look for one particular fuck muppet and find out if he was on the island diddling kids. Because let's be honest, if he was on the island, he probably couldn't find his dick, so he probably had to get one of the midgets under there to hold his belly up and another one to jerk him off. Regardless of the matter, I don't fucking care, because it's also entirely possible that it is confirmed his name came up in the files. I just don't know the context, so I don't want to speak on it too much. But at the end of the day, it's entirely possible he was just come up as somebody floated him as a potential island person. It could just be because he was in a news article that Jeffrey Epstein sent to somebody else, or somebody else sent to Jeff about something else, and he was just in there contextually as a potential candidate for something, or potential future presidential candidate, which is what he seems to think he's going to be. Although I swear to God, they put him on the fucking ticket, it's going to be so fucking horrible. Ugh. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It wouldn't surprise me if some hillbilly from downstate decided to take things into his own hands at that point, because they don't like him at all. But, again, I'm by no means am I encouraging that. I'm not saying it's right or anything that anyone should ever fucking do. I'm just saying at this point, those things wouldn't surprise me anymore, because I feel like we're living in the worst part of a fucking shitty movie right now. And it's infuriating in a lot of ways. It frustrates me. Like I said, and the way they handled it, between Pam Bondi's utter fucking incompetence, Dan Bongino fucking quitting as an FBI individual and going back to his show, and then talking shit to the people who showed up to listen to him, basically saying, you don't know what I know because you're not on the inside, and y'all need to quit with the speculation and just trust the process. And he's back to blowing Donnie for fucking attaboys. And, it's I hate this timeline. I really fucking do. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of negativity. I'm so tired of people shitting on each other all the time. I'm so tired of fucking people refusing to look past their own, like, my team, your team bullshit. I'm tired of people not thinking critically. I'm tired of people not being fucking adults. It's just, it vexes me so. And, yeah, that's really all I got in the tank at the moment. So I am going to, open it up to the chat for suggestions. Anybody got anything particularly you have a question about? You want to know what I think or how I feel about something? Did I miss something this week? Were there some big events that I didn't talk about that I should be talking about? Because, like I said, I got nothing in the tank right now. So it's all just, it is what it is. Yep, riveting podcasting. Watch Aaron take a sip of water. I break all the rules of live streaming, I think. Can't be helped. It's just in my nature. Well, let's see. I can go back to some of the other comments in the chat, or the comment, I should say. Shauna said, hi. Lorenzo said abusive opinions, because I take it he likes my disclaimer. And Boomer Bob says, Trump will be held accountable as much of the rest of them. And yeah, I agree with that. I don't think anybody's can be held fucking accountable. I think it's a joke. There is a two-tiered justice system, and like George Carlin said, it's a big club, and we ain't fucking in it. Okay, that's a good prompt from Bob here. My thoughts on employers using AI during the hiring process. Now, this is something I can actually speak on because I've been going through that a lot myself recently. As pretty much anybody that's listened to more than 2 episodes of the show knows I am currently sans employment and doing my damnedest to try and remedy that situation. But yeah, there's a lot of screening on there, a lot of like almost gatekeeping via AI, just parsing. I mean, and I understand it's way more efficient in a lot of ways, but it misses a lot of nuance. It doesn't make certain qualifications. I've actually spoken to multiple recruiters where I applied for multiple positions at the same job, and the AI put me through for the lower paying position while ignoring me for the higher paid position because it seemed to think that certain requirements made more sense or made people more qualified, whereas it was like, as everybody knows, you know, I'm a chef. So I applied for 2 positions with the same company. One was an executive chef's job, and then just because I need a fucking job, I applied for a lower tier sous chef position. And I got a call back from the interviewer about the sous chef position, and I thought the interview went fairly well. And I said, she mentioned they wouldn't be able to let me know what was going on until they hired an executive chef because that position was open too. And I said, yeah, I know, I applied for it. And she goes, yeah, with your resume, they should be talking to you about that one. I thought it was kind of weird you were applying for the sous chef position. And then she looked into it and she goes, oh, yeah, the AI bumped your fucking resume because you don't have a bachelor's degree. And I said, I have 27 years of culinary experience and associates and all these certifications. I don't need a bachelor's degree. And she went, yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, I've had to do video interviews with AI bots. I've had to do phone interviews with an AI chat bot that just asked me questions and then repeated all my answers back to me and then asked another question based on my answer. I mean, it's not quite uncanny valley stuff yet. It's not. I mean, you can still tell you're dealing with a machine, but it's real. I mean, I don't like it. I feel like, I mean, and maybe part of that's my industry where I feel like you need to be able to get a feel for the person you're trying to put in that position. You can't, computers don't have that. They haven't gotten to the point where they've evolved to be able to pick up things like nuance and you know, body language and things like that yet. It's horrific. I think it's a bad trend. I mean, yeah, parsing through like people that, you know, shouldn't be there, people that misspell shit on their applications. And I'm not saying that should be judgy, like, because I'm a terrible speller too. But people that, you know, like we got bad grammar, things like that. People that write like they speak. Yeah, no, if you want to, you're not putting those people in for fucking, you know, executive level positions. So I think that's a probably slightly more reasonable use of things. But yeah, it's insane to me. I think it's taking the humanity out of human resources, and it's a very bad trend. But unfortunately, it's also the times we live in, and it is what it is. So, you know, what can you do? We cope, we don't judge, all that good shit. Or no, that's we listen, we don't judge. But I judge. I'm a prick. Yeah, so that's my thought on that one. And then Josh mentions in the comments, it's idiotic his wife's HR at a local engineering firm, all screened through AI before she even sees anything. And then Bob comments back, his girlfriend's dealing with this too. Says her biggest issue seems to be prior pay was 6 figures, and those jobs don't typically cross that threshold that she's well aware and will take less. But she's kind of been blackballed based on her prior pay history, which I have no problem believing whatsoever, because I've been in that position myself where I'm dealing with people and they're like, well, you know, you made that much, why would you be willing to take a job making this much? And it's like, motherfucker, I need a job. That's why I'm willing to take the job making less. It's not that I want less money. It's not that I think I'm worth less money. That's what's fucking available. And people seem to think that it's like the one thing I find that I can kind of understand people being slightly leery about that is I think a lot of people assume that if you take a job making less than what you're used to making or what you were making previously, you're going to be looking to better deal them and get out as soon as you can. So they think they don't want to hire you because they assume it's going to be a short-term thing and they don't feel like it's worth the time and effort to invest and train and hire and blah, 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 when they think you're just going to skip out as soon as you get something better on the fucking table. Now, me personally, that's not the kind of person I am. If I take a job, I'm not going to bail till at least after a year. I feel that's, and in a lot of ways, I know it's actually a fucking stupid take. The companies aren't going to show you that kind of loyalty. Why should you show it to them? I just feel it's one of those got to hold the higher ground, got to be the better person kind of situations, because that, I don't know, that's how I was raised, I guess. It may not make the most sense from a logical standpoint, but it's still how I do things, and that's just the way it fucking is. So, let's see. Another comment from Bob. Kevin Spacey role in American Beauty. Yeah, great reference, actually. You want the least amount of responsibility possible and will take less pay to get it. I can completely understand that, too. Now, unfortunately, me, I'm actually kind of doing things the opposite direction over the course of my professional career. More than once, I took a job just to have the job because I needed the benefits, or I needed to make sure I had income coming in because I had a wife and a kid to think about. Now that my kid is grown and out of the house and we're fairly okay, I mean, we're not thriving by any means, but I can afford to be a little more picky right now, and I can afford to say, you know what, you're going to pay me that little bit of money for that much of a headache. It's not worth it to me. So I don't have to take the first thing that comes along. But I'm at the point too where I'm like, I got to start getting some. I haven't gotten any good offers to turn down yet. So it's kind of like, is it me? It might be me. I don't know. Which is another reason why I need you guys all to all go kick in on the Kickstarter and help me get this business off the ground, so I don't have to worry about working for the man. I can just be the man myself. That would be phenomenal. And so that brings me to the next, all right, anybody else got anything else to say? All right, since I'm not seeing a lot of chitter chatter, we're going to do I'm going to play, since nobody else has sent me new promos, so get on it, podcast people, give me new promos. I'm going to be playing the Weather Report promo, which, as a friendly reminder, I was on the Weather Report last night, and you need to go check that out. It was a good time. We went a little over an hour. It was Bill and Dana from Clockham Craft Coffee, Ken, Bruce, and myself, and we talked about why I'm doing this, a little of my background, a little more information. And I would really appreciate it if you guys will all go over there and check that out. I'll put the links to that in the show notes, too, just because it's relevant. And here we go.
Join Bruce and Ken on the Weathered Report, where sharp takes, real conversation, and a dose of humor cut through the noise of the week. From classic cars to politics, culture, and the American spirit, no topic is off limits. Every episode brings fresh stories, lively discussion, and the kind of straight talk you won't hear anywhere else. Stay weathered, but never worn down. Catch Bruce and Ken every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific, exclusively live on Rumble and YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And that's the Weathered Report. So yeah, like I said, good show, good dudes, good time. We had some good laughs. It was fun. It was kind of fun to actually be on there. More diverse is who I was, and less divorced, or I shouldn't say. It was fun to be on there wearing a different hat. I wasn't wearing my podcaster hat on there. I was wearing my culinary professional hat, which, I mean, believe it or not, I'm the same guy deep down at the core of everything. But on the other hand, I am also, when I'm being professional, when I'm doing Aaron being Aaron, I'll admit there's a shift in demeanor. I actually did something that I catch a lot of flack from my fellow podcasters about, and I actually self-promoted. I talked about myself. It felt weird. It's not my normal thing. I'm not good at talking about me. I'm good at talking about the world and ranting and raving and being a big blowhard, but I'm not really great at talking myself up. So it was fun though. Let's see. Bob says, "Oh, Kate's here. Hi, Kate." Let's see. Josh plans on watching it tomorrow on the road. Looking forward to seeing the Kickstarter link. Yeah, I appreciate that, Josh. Kate was actually on the show last night in the audience. It was a good time. Bob says Discord was better than X Spaces this morning. Yeah, I didn't get a notice for Discord, and I was having a hard ass time trying to get into X. I would have probably not contributed much because, like I said, I'm still a little under the weather, and was just kind of dealing with brain fog and dealing with, like I said, getting the Kickstarter launch and all that other stuff. So that was more my morning today. Yes, there is a Facebook page, Kate. I'm pretty sure I invited you to follow it. I think I did. But yes, the Facebook page is up. Yeah, no, Bob, I did actually get excited talking about the venture itself. It was a case of but like I said, I'm still not the best at like, hey, look how great I am. I'm amazing. You guys should come check me out. But I like I said, I like to think it at least came across that it's something I actually am passionate about, and I do know what I'm talking about. I mean, I give you guys little recipes every week now, and I'm trying to show that I know what I'm talking about, but also it's just because I like sharing. This is the stuff I enjoy. These are the things that make me happy. This is the stuff I'm passionate about. These are the things that, food is my love language. It really is. It's how if you come to my house, you will be leaving fed and satiated and happy. And it brings me joy, so I like to share it with other people. That's just the long and the short of it. So I guess we'll use that as a shift into tonight's recipe if there are no further questions from the chat, and I will keep talking while you guys have a few minutes to respond, because the whole lag thing, the delay, which I'm still trying to figure out how to mitigate that. There's got to be a way to turn the fucking delay off, but I have yet to figure it out. So I'm sure it has something to do with the streaming process. But if you can do a lag free broadcast through Teams or through Zoom calls, I don't see why you can't have a lag free conversation via streaming platforms. But again, I haven't really figured that part out yet. Anyway, so the recipe we are going to do this week is actually it's a Moroccan lamb kebab. It's not complicated. It's actually very simple. I've actually got multiple lamb kebab recipes, but I like the Moroccan. I like the Greek one too, but it's a little too close to Euro meat. It's exactly what it is. But I just decided out of the recipes I have available, we're going to do the Moroccan kebabs because it's simple, but I really like the flavor profile on it, and it's okay. Kate says she does not see the actual Facebook page for my new company. It should be there. I will once we get done with this, I'll message it to you on Facebook directly. Bob, the company is called Ember Forged Spices. It's I did drop it in the Discord, Bob. You have to come to my Discord server though. I didn't drop it on the Boomer Bunker Discord. I suppose I could do that. John or Duchess will have to tell me where to put it. But anyway, so yeah, back to the point. Moroccan lamb kebabs. Now, the other thing about this, it's a marinade. You can do lamb if you don't like lamb, because I know some people don't. They say it's too gamey or whatever. You don't have to do lamb. You can do pork. You can do beef. You can do chicken. You can do turkey if you really want to, I suppose. I mean, it's kind of a universal flavor profile. But to be accurate to the region, to be proper Mediterranean food, it's either going to be chicken or lamb or pork. Or if you're really feeling froggy, you can combine some lamb and some pork and some beef on the same skewers. And then you have more like a actual Euro flavor profile if you do the Greek version. But for this case, it's Moroccan because, like I said, I like this. It's simple. I'm talking in circles and babbling. But, I don't know. I was feeling a Mediterranean kick when I was trying to pick out today's recipe. So anyway, you're going to start out with 5.5, maybe 6 pounds of lamb leg. It's, in that ballpark. It's just whatever you can buy without having to buy like 2 lamb legs. But you want some leg of lamb. And you're going to have some button mushrooms, some cherry tomatoes, some green bell peppers, and some red or white onions. And what you want to do is you're going to start out, you're going to take the skewers. You're going to need skewers because that's what makes it a kebab. You could actually just grill it or saute it or pan fry it or however you want to. But for the sake of being consistent, we're going to call it a kebab. It's going to be a kebab. It's going to be cooked on a skewer over a fucking broiler or a charcoal grill. However you want to do it. If you have a gas grill will work. I prefer charcoal just for the flavor, but that's a me thing. But anyway, so for the Moroccan marinade to these, now you're going to take your meat. You're going to, if you lamb, pork, beef, whatever you're using. You're going to cut it into about 1.5 cubes. Like, it's got to be a good size. And you're going to take it and you're going to skewer it, and then you're going to alternate it with a cherry tomato, piece of onion, piece of green pepper, mushroom, another piece of meat, until the skewers are filled, right? You're going to arrange the skewers in a like 9x13 pan, and you're going to take them, and then you're going to make your marinade. Now, your marinade for the Moroccan marinade, God, that's hard to say, is 2 cups of olive oil. Now, you're going to want the extra virgin so you get that full olive oil flavor. EVOO. You're going to get 2 cups of olive oil, 1 cup of minced white onion, like finely chopped, right? It's because this is a marinade. Again, you're going to have onions on the skewer. You don't need big old chunks of onion hanging on your fucking meat. You want finely minced, 1 cup of minced white onion, 9 cloves of garlic, and you're going to mince them. Now, when you're doing fresh garlic, there's a trick you can do. I'm going to just, I'm diverging from the recipe here to tell you this. To mince your garlic, and, a lot of people say when they're chopping their garlic, and it's a big pain in the ass. If you actually flip your knife over and use the flat side of it, the dull side of it, you got to be careful when you're doing it. You don't want, because now you're going to have the sharp side facing up, and you got to make sure you're not flailing around. You don't want to cut yourself with it. But if you use the back of the knife, you can actually crush the garlic a little bit easier, and instead of just getting thin slices that you then have to turn and chop again, you'll kind of like crush it and break it apart into kind of chunks, and then you just got to run the knife over it a couple of times to break those chunks up into a nice mince. So there you go. There's your pro tip for the day. Now, after that, you're going to have fresh lemon juice. It's going to be about 2 lemons. I mean, it kind of depends on how big the lemons are, how juicy they are. But you're going to go for about 1/2 cup of lemon juice, okay? And then you're going to take the zest, the outer layer of skin, off of one of the lemons, and you're going to put that in the cup too, because that's where you get all that lemon oil that's going to give that really bright pop flavor. Now, the juice is good because it's going to fucking help denaturalize the proteins in the meats and break things down. And then, but like I said, that zest will actually really accentuate the lemon flavor, because it's so much more flavorful than the actual juice itself, because the juice is mostly water, whereas the zest is that pure lemon oil, and it's got the essence of lemon in there, and it's going to really pop. And then the last thing is you're going to have 4 tablespoons of fresh chopped thyme. Now, I know we're not in fresh herb season yet, but spring is springing. It will be here very long, and it will be very easy to get fresh thyme. Fresh thyme is, game changer from the dried shit. So you want 4 tablespoons of fresh thyme. Fresh thyme comes off the stems really easy. All you got to do, you grip the tip, you pull the stem through your fingertips against the direction the leaves are going, and they'll just pop right off onto your cutting board. And then you run a knife over them a few times just to chop them up. And then you mix all that together. You stir it all really good until it's all combined and mixed well together. Then you're going to pour it over your kebabs, and you're going to refrigerate those bitches overnight. You want them to refrigerate overnight so the marinade has time to penetrate the meat and really soak in and bind. Excuse me. So then after they've been marinating for, overnight, if you're using an electric grill or a skittle or a skillet or a griddle, or you're going to want set for 350. If you're going to use a broiler, you're going to want it on high, but you don't want the rack too close to it because you don't want to burn the outsides of it. If you're going to use a charcoal grill, you're going to want your coals glowing nice and hot. You want your grill at around 350. On a broiler, 350. It's a medium-high heat over a gas grill. And what you're going to do is you're going to sear them off. You're looking at about 4.5 minutes per side. Now, that is going to be, it's not, side A, side B. These are going to be 1 to 1.5 inch cubes. So you need to rotate it 4 times so you hit all 4 sides of the meat. So it's cooked all the way through. Now, depending, you can be actually a little bit more, you have a little more wiggle room with like the lamb and the beef, the red meats. But if you're doing pork or chicken, you got to make sure you're getting to the safe temperatures, for which pork would be 155 and chicken will be 165 degrees, checked with a thermometer in the thickest part of the meat. That is basic food safety. You have to make sure you're cooking it appropriately and adjust your cooking for the meat you are using. That's how you avoid getting worms. That's how you avoid getting food poisoning. That's how you avoid getting sick. You want to make sure the stuff is cooked thoroughly, but you don't want to overcook it, because when you overcook things, they turn to yuck. So, yeah, that's the recipe for this week, is Moroccan marinated lamb kebabs, which I think are absolutely delicious. I like I said, I love lamb. It's one of my favorite things that I never ever eat because I either it's expensive. Plus, I'm like the only. I think my father-in-law and I are the only ones who actually like it in the house. So it's but it's very good. It's yummy-licious. It's a good recipe. And yeah, like I said, it's not complicated. Good food doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need 9 million ingredients to make quality meals. You just need proper technique and proper ratios of things to make everything taste just right. And yes, Kate, I said worms. I know it's not an appetizing thought to think in context of food. And realistically, with modern food production standards, if you're living in the first world, it shouldn't be an issue unless you're buying your meat off the back of a fucking truck. Because, like, a lot of people used to talk about trichina worms with pork, and that's why the people, particularly old people, always thought pork had to be cooked to a certain temperature. It had to be cooked until it was dry and gross because you had to kill off the worms so you don't get parasites. But with proper sanitary USDA-inspected pork farms, they are now held to a cleanliness standard where those worms are not very prevalent anymore. So we've actually discovered through trial and error that you're way less inclined to get to them. And this is the safe temperature that will kill off any worm eggs, which would be 155 for 15 seconds with a meat thermometer. And that means, and you will still retain juiciness, and your pork will not be dry and gross like we all had when we were little kids. So, yeah. So that's the recipe for this week. Anybody got anything else they want to poke and prod on, or anything that, any prompts that need to be addressed? Because I don't want you guys to feel like you're getting shortchanged here, but as I said earlier, I'm kind of don't have much locked and loaded for tonight. Sorry for looking away there. I got a phone call and realized my watch is on the charger, so I didn't know who it was. So the other downside of looking for employment is I get distracted really easily every time the phone rings, but I didn't stop to think about the fact that it's 8 o'clock on a freaking holiday, so it's not real likely it's an employer trying to reach out to me. All right, well, since I'm not seeing anything else in the chat, going, gone, I think I'm going to put a pin in it and say that for tonight, that's what I had to say.